Wednesday. So today is getting a billboard for your real estate business ever a good investment?
I think that if you're not ever planning on getting a billboard, or you're not in a position where you're going to get a billboard, or you think that you might not ever get a billboard, you should still watch this, because there will be a time when you contemplate it, and there is a time where I think it's a good thing, where it's something smart that you should do. But for the most part, I don't see as many billboards around with real estate agents on them in this market. What about you, Jake?
Not as much. I mean, like, in our part in North Dallas, like there's so much construction and stuff happening, and there's obviously a lot of traffic. So I do see them on a regular, but not nearly as much as I have in the past.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, same here, but they're still there, and agents still utilize them from time to time. I think that what's most important is to understand the strategy of your marketing. Now, when I first got a billboard, Jake probably picked this topic because he likes to make fun of me. And, I had this horrible billboard. I remember, Pam Cox was the lady who put it up. She owned the billboards, right? And she did the artwork, she did the design, and she put this thing up there. And, I read, I think it was either a Tony Robbins quote, or maybe it was a Keller Williams quote in the Realtor magazine. But it was like "Success leaves clues," right? And it was like, I remember this magnifying glass that the dude was looking. I was like, all right, success leaves clues. What are these other agents doing? All right, they have billboards. If I have a billboard, then I'll be successful too. So I put up this stupid billboard. And
do you have a picture of this anywhere?
No, man. I wish I did. Because my old business card. I was just showing. I had a banker in here. I don't know what I did with it. I was showing a banker that horrible business card, and my son's like, "Oh, here we go." Dad, was it raining when they took your picture? Right? Like. I'm so glad I got these still around. Anyway, I think that was the picture that I had on the billboard. If not, it was an even worse one because I was even younger. And so anyway, I put this thing up, right? I put it up in the wrong town to begin, right? Not where I wanted to get business, right? Like I put it up where I could afford it. And in retrospect, I didn't even, have any business putting it in that particular area.
How much did it cost for a month?
Man, I want to say back then it was affordable, which is why I did it. I want to say it was like $500 a month. Is what she charged me back then. And so I was like, all right, cool. Now I got a billboard, right? But basically now I got a bill of $500 a month, which was more than the rent that I paid in the duplex that I lived in, And I'll never forget the situation, and I've told this story several times, but then we'll go into some tactics on when it's a good idea and how to actually do it properly. I'm at church, and this prominent business guy comes up to me and says, "Hey, Mike, I saw your billboard." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, it's working." He's like, "I'm selling my house over in the Villages." I'm like, "Ooh, tell me more, baby. Come to Papa." And he's like, "It's listed with a local mega agent, and maybe you can show it." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks." That's obviously not working, But yeah, crickets, man, crickets. The phone did not ring.
And I think that is the big distinction for people. Is are you using it for a lead generation strategy, or are you use it for branding purposes?
Well, and what's the difference, right? So, let's dive into that, because that's really the heart of this topic. A lot of times agents hear fallacies like, you got to list to last. You got to get your name out there, right? And so they're thinking, okay, well, that's what I got to do. I got to get my name out. That's what I was thinking, right? But right. That's not really a strategy, right? That's what Coca-Cola does, and that's why they spend the most money, because they have enough money to spend in that capacity to wait to see the results on a quarter or an annual basis, right? Like if you look at an ad for Snuggle fabric softener on TV, right? There's not a direct response component to it. They don't know how much Snuggle is being sold because of that commercial that day. But I'll tell you what, when they get these Madison Avenue advertising agencies, they look at it on a quarterly basis. Okay, well, we had a 10% bump in total sales. We ran this campaign. It's good. In real estate, we don't have the luxury to operate like that, because most of us, right, need our money, and we don't have the time to wait to see if it's working or not. And so we do these dumb things that we get sold on, right? Like a billboard person comes and sells you, or the print ad guy comes and sells you, or this next shiny hubcap comes and sells you, because we don't have a plan and we don't know what to do, and they don't teach you how to do it. And so we look around and see what other people are doing, and we're like, well, I'll do that. And the other thing that a billboard does is it makes you feel good about yourself. Like, puff your chest out. That's me.
That's me.
Yeah, I took a picture of this one billboard in Branson, Missouri, and it was the Condo King. You remember that movie? The guy was like the real estate king, and they had like, I forget what movie it was. It had to do with murder. Anyway, the dude had the crown on, the Condo King. Now, the interesting thing about this billboard was it was so old, it had faded to black and white at this point. And I was like, obviously that didn't work, right? Because people don't care about you. You know what I mean? They're not going to pay attention to you, and they're not going to do it in a way that you like, because you are secondary to their thought process when it comes to buying or selling real estate. Their primary thought is, I've got a problem, right? I either need a new house, or I've got a problem, I need to sell this house, right? And so when we're talking about us, then it's a challenge, it's an issue, because they're not going to be really dialed into that. And if you think about the strategy of a billboard in general, you're hoping that when somebody drives by your billboard, that they happen to be thinking about buying or selling a house, and then they happen to see it, and then they happen to call you, right? I forget the stats on how many interruptions we have today on just advertising in general, but we like tune this crap out with blinders on to just stay sane on a regular basis. And so, a local agent here in town put a billboard up in the hood, Jake, in the hood. Now, this lady sells the big houses on the south side of town. She's got a billboard up on the north side of town. And I was like, another one. You know what I mean? Like, if she gets called to this area, she's not going to come to this area to sell these little low-priced, homes. She probably would be afraid to get out of her car, to be quite honest with you. But yet, she has a billboard right there. Now, maybe she had a strategy. Maybe there's something I don't know. I've been wrong before. But for me, on the outside of it, it just looks like something that somebody did without a lot of thought. And I think that's a lot of times
just got sold.
Huh?
I said just got sold.
Mm-hmm. The billboard company had an opening. They're like, okay, we've got a relationship with this person. We're going to go to them and tell them why this would be. We got this many cars per day going past there. Okay.
Exactly.
That sounds smart, right? You got 5,000 cars, 25,000 cars a day going past this thing. I'm going to get a lot of people to look at me. But they're not. They're not. And if they are, where are they headed to, right? Like, is that the area you want to serve? That's the mistake that I made. The other mistake that I made was, I didn't have any strong call to action. And it was just about me. It was like, why go to sells Lake of the Ozarks homes? Like, who cares? Newsflash.
Congratulations.
Nobody gives a crap, right? You throw up a rock and hit an agent at Lake of the Ozarks, right? Like, I mean, it's just, there's so many of them. It was humbling, Jake. It was humbling, but I learned, right? I learned what I didn't know at the time, which was, that doesn't help. So if you're gonna run a billboard, right? Here's when you should do it, in my opinion. And I'm sorry I'm hogging this up because I got this funny story and I can't stop it. There came a time where I would have 4 or 5 billboards up at once, right, in the lake area, which is a lot for that community, plus more. But when you want to run it, in my opinion, is after you've got some traction in a database and some business, right, and you have a very tight structure in your business to where you have what I call luxury marketing dollars, right? So if you have a percentage of your top line revenue that you have committed to reallocate towards your marketing budget, right? And that percentage is doing well, and maybe you had something that stopped working, right? And this is when I would take that luxury budget and put it towards something like this. Maybe, for example, I had online ads in this real estate publication. This was actually a pretty gangster move because they would distribute the paper copies, right? And then their website, they would charge like $25 for a whole page ad in the website. It'd be $500 for the print ad, but the website was like $25 because they didn't put any value on it. They're like, oh, it's just a stupid website. Well, there was a crap load of traffic there, so I would run ads there, right? Eventually, it started to wean off, and so I think I transitioned the money into something else, and that's how you do it, folks. I mean, you keep track of your cost per lead, the budget that you're going to use for your marketing dollars, and when you have something that is falling off or you want to test, that's your luxury budget, and that's when I started putting that money into billboards. And the reason why was because I had a good call to action, right? And so, I was trying to brand myself with that call to action in that market. And I also put a tracking component to the billboard. A lot of people don't do that. And so I used a different domain name for that billboard so I could see when people came from that domain name, I know that that was specific from that billboard, and I put up a different phone number as well. So when people called from that billboard, I would know, okay, aha, it's working. And what I found is even with the gangster, just dynamite call to action, at best I broke even. So I was getting branded, basically for free. And that's a good thing. That's what you want to have happen. But you don't want to rely on it as a strategy to build business. And especially if you don't have a foundation built that you can spend $1 and get back $1.50 or $2 or $5 or $10 already. And you don't want to do it in a way that's what you lead with, I guess, essentially is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And I think that's where what do you expect to happen from it? Like, you have the whole expectations versus like agreements, and when you're sold a billboard, you most likely are like, hey, you're going to have this many people go by. So think of the leads or however they sell it. I've never actually gotten pitched a billboard before. So
it's all
now 100%
traffic and views, right? Which pays no bills, by the way. But they're going to pay every month, so get ready.
Right.
I don't think there's anything more embarrassing than putting up a billboard and maybe having a big X painted through it because you didn't pay your bill. Don't do that.
This guy can't pay his bills, so good luck with him selling your house. But when you come into it, like every single agent I've ever talked to that's had like experience, Roger Hart commented in here and said, "Been there, done that, waste of money." And I think that most people that I've talked to, like Roger, where that thought of I'm getting it so I can get business, right?
Yeah.
And then no clear way to track it or know where you're getting the lift. Like the biggest lift that you can probably see is not like when you had it tracked down to how you should have it tracked, where the source is going to its own page so you can see how much traffic is going there, who's coming from it, all that fun stuff. To see that break even is great because what you'll probably see is some out of some of the conversion metrics that you have from everything else because you've got brand going on. So when the other things that you're doing, like generating leads and calling the leads and having your ISA say, hey, this is, Jake with the Mike Odo team, and someone saying, yeah, I think I know Mike. I see Mike's stuff all over the place.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. Those things they help. What's the term? Reinforce the brand, right? And they help your agents, convert the leads if you have a team. And they also do. They have some other ancillary benefits that people don't think of. The agents on your team feel more proud to be on your team, right? Because you're this entity now, right? I always said like I'm Mickey Mouse, the mascot. They just wheel me out when they need me. But it does have that benefit, and then you do get to have a little bit of your reputation precede you come in with some panache, when you're coming into an appointment, or maybe you're helping untangle a deal that one of your agents has, you know what I mean? They're like, oh, they got the big boss on the phone, right? Those things help, but you have to do it strategically. You can't lead with it. The other thing is today, what we've discovered over time is like we run digital billboards for our clients in the form of retargeting. So when they get the lead in, right, we're retargeting them with a digital billboard talking about buying a home, or if they're a seller, talking about selling a home. So it's very, very specific to what that lead came in at as, and what we found is that people don't differentiate in their mind's eye between seeing one up there or right here on the screen, which is pretty cool because we can put them on the screen for pennies, like fraction. Like, what was the stats on one of them we looked up not too long ago? How many views for how much money? It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was like $600 for the whole year, and it was like a couple 100,000 impressions.
Yeah, and you got to remember these impressions are different than when you're driving in the car because they're looking at their screen. Like everybody's living on this thing today, and they're scrolling, and it's like boop, right in front of them, right in front of them, right. And so it's they're already paying attention, right? It's not like when you're driving. It's different. And
it's the shotgun approach versus the laser focused sniper approach, right? So when you get this, right, it'd be like getting pitched a billboard thing being like, hey, the only people we're actually going to show this to are people that have filled out a form showing that they're interested in buying or selling in your market. How does that sound?
Right? And they're already getting emails from you, and they're already getting calls from your office, and
right. And you already have all their info. So would that be beneficial, right? Like that's where technology takes a big leap in terms of marketing, and like becomes even better for you, right, as the business owner, and your ability to do this strategy. And this is like this is like next level branding stuff. Like I remember when I first told Kinder about what it is we're doing, he was like, about the retargeting thing, he was son of a bitch. Been like, you know how helpful it would have been if I could have had like every person in Lawton, Oklahoma, if we would have changed their front light bulb to pink, and it was like the pink ones were the ones that were considering selling, and I could have just marketed to those people with direct mail and billboards and stuff. He was like, that would have been like, you know how much money I would have saved? He's like, you have no idea.
Well,
no clue.
The thing is that's even more interesting is like if you're just starting out, right? Like it's not just about saving money. How much money would you make if you were able to do that and have the same kind of effect as, you know, putting up 4 billboards around town? I remember I had up they put up these new digital billboards, and it was in the recession, and the company was so desperate they gave me like this sweetheart deal. And I remember I was sitting somewhere, another prominent business guy came up. He's like, "Man, your billboards are everywhere." He's like, "I hope you don't go broke." I was like, "I hope the billboard company don't go broke if you do." But I didn't say this. I was just like, "Oh yeah, thanks. It's a lot, you know." But in reality, yeah, it was you know, ridiculous not to do that. And at the time, I was tuned into a lot of Dan Kennedy, and he was like, "Look, in times of recession, nobody's advertising, so advertise more because your message will go that much farther." And, you know, if you had all that noise in the market, which turned out to be true during that time.
Yeah. And so, you know, like to really put a nice little bow on this whole thing, like I really, really, really do believe that it comes down to like what your strategy is and how there's different kinds of advertising and marketing. And so many times in real estate, we kind of blend that all together where it's like marketing, advertising, lead gen, it's all the same thing, right? And branding, right? And throw it all in there. And it's like, I have this budget for this, right? And like no Fortune 500 company on the planet would have like line items that lump those all together, right? Like that's just not how it works, right? Like there's even different departments for those things.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you're thinking about it, like, and again, when you're first starting off, all you need to do is talk to people, right? Like you need to have conversations and talk to people and start building a database, right? Of people that you have talked to and have shown interest and are in your phone or whatever it may be. And then it's like, how can I continue to expand that and have my reputation start preceding me? Because why do people love referrals so damn much, right? Because when you talk to them, they already know who you are, right? Your cousin's friend.
Yeah, they know, like, and trust you on some type of level because you came with somebody else's recommendation prior. That's it. And so this is what I tell people when they ask about our product. I'm like, well, if you could wave a magic wand and get all the people that you could afford to raise their hand essentially and say, "Hey, I'm over here, I'm looking to buy or sell a house," and then, you know, tell them a story about you prior to meeting with them, what would that story be? What would you want them to know? Right? Like if you could have HGTV follow you around, right, and make a documentary about you, that you're the baddest real estate agent in town, and you could like sit them down and take their eyes open and make them watch this thing prior to meeting with you, you know, how do you think they would treat you when you did actually meet with them? And so that's what branding is supposed to do, right? But the branding comes after the marketing, after the lead gen, because you want to brand yourself to the right people at the right time, so you're not wasting a bunch of money. Because let's face it, I mean, you couldn't, in some of these markets, afford to do what would be necessary in order to brand yourself and try to use that as front end lead gen as well. And I mean, I don't think most of the top agents out there that have billboards do it in a reverse manner. That's why they have billboards, because they know, and they've got a big ass database of all these leads that they generate on a monthly basis, right? And so they're just trying to have a little more brand awareness when they make those calls, when they're responding to those leads that are requesting things from them, right? So
yeah,
I don't know.
And when you continue to grow like that, you're just being reinforced with continue to spend more money because your budget's increasing, but the return's staying the same or getting better or is getting still positive. So it's like, I make more money when I spend money, so let's spend more money, baby. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, and when you're in that high growth mode, that's just the way to do it. But at the end of the day, like you've mentioned this a couple times now on this call, like when you can master direct response, you can make money at any time and anywhere, no matter what's going on. And if you have a process that can get people to go somewhere, enter in their information, become a lead, and you can convert that into a client, game over. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, I was telling you the other day, I was looking back at my life, and All I've done essentially is take, marketing dollars and turned it into more money. And I've never fancied myself like, a big time, like info marketer or marketer or thing of that nature. But like, that's essentially all I've learned and done well at for cash flow. And it works really well. And it does apply to every business. I mean, I used it in the storage unit business. I mean, I did a $1 move-in special, and I forget the domain name that I was driving them to. You know what I mean? Like it was. I mean, it just works in every industry, and it doesn't work always out of the gate. But in the real estate business, just like you said, to tie a bow on it, to recap, should you use a billboard? Yeah, I think you should. When is the real question? And you got to make that differentiation. So the first thing is you've got to get a system in place that generates you business on a consistent nature, where you can put the dollar in and know when you're going to get the dollar plus its friends back. That comes before you try to brand yourself. And a lot of times in real estate, like, we're very egocentric and ego driven, and rightfully so. I mean, if you're doing it wrong, you have to face a lot of rejection, right? You get a lot of no's, you get a lot of doors shut, you get a lot of F-offs, and so then as a side effect, like, you callous up and you're like, well, I'm just going to show them, I'm going to become larger than life, which is cool, but you got to do it in the right order. So,
yep. And once you do that, I would say that you would very much want to go digital billboards first and work your way up, right? Like it's that luxury budget that you were talking about that you can start putting into, and that starts growing as you grow your business. But there are certain milestones that you want to hit, and Moses.
That's takeaway number one. The first takeaway should be you should have a percentage of your marketing budget that you commit off the top to reinvesting back into your real estate business. If you don't do that, then it's the equivalent of taking all the money out of the hamburger joint and not leaving enough to buy a hamburger for next month. Like, that's just silly. Like, who would run a business like that? Nobody, right? You shouldn't do that to your business.
Never. But if you do that, there's like a very clear combination to the safe. You know what I mean? The only way it works and you can actually get to the money in the safe is if you put it in the right order, right? So it is important that you do the things in the right order, right? Moses told me that one time. He was like, if you do it out of order, sometimes it can be catastrophic for your business. You know what I mean? Like, if you took the stuff that you're supposed to do at the end, that's the most expensive, and put it on the front, you're out of business real fast. You have no money coming in, you're spending a ton of money, and your spouse hates you, right? Like, see you later. Not going to last very long. So you got to do it. You got to put the bricks in place, get the foundation, continue to stack on from there. And that's stuff that we'll continue to cover different things along the way. But if you need any help, don't hesitate to reach out if you're confused on what to do in what order.
And if you'd like to help follow this stuff, go to marketmakercall.com. We'll show you how we generate buyer and seller leads. Nurture those leads with brand building, content that builds authority and status in the mind of those leads and ultimately delivers them to your calendar as an appointment. It's exclusive. It's 1 agent per zip code. Go check it out, marketmakercall.com.
Bada bing, bada boom. So as we always say here at Market Maker, you are always just one pre-position appointment away.
Every day, hopefully multiple a day.
There you go.